CBS News Bay Area Afternoon Edition with Ann Mekovic.
We begin with breaking news. Some neighbors in Sunnyvale had to evacuate their homes after a car just crashed into a house and caused a natural gas leak. Our chopper flew over the scene on Winstead Court. Several homes in the area were evacuated as PG&E workers were sent to repair that leak. Everyone's still being asked to avoid the area. We're also told a nearby preschool had to shelter in place briefly. Authorities hoping to let people return home soon. No word on the cause of that crash. The driver ended up with minor injuries, but nobody else was hurt. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Also in Berkeley, some old photography equipment led to a hazmat scare and a neighborhood evacuation that is ongoing. Emergency crews blocked several streets around a home on Calusa Avenue in the Thousand Oaks neighborhood. The bomb squad was called in to remove several bottles of picric acid from the basement. That is a chemical used in old photography labs. The people who lived in the home and their immediate neighbors were evacuated. Others were told to shelter in place. Traffic still blocked off within a block of Calusa and Tacoma Avenues. Police say there is no active threat, though. Now to more on the fallout from Saturday's deadly shooting in Minneapolis. The second this month by federal agents in the city has led to mass protests, even in sub-zero temperatures. The Department of Homeland Security claims that the man federal officers killed was brandishing a gun, but videos clearly show that is not true. And as Lana Zach reports from Minneapolis, we're learning more about the victim, Alex Preddy, who was a nurse at a hospital for veterans.
Whoa! Video from inside this bystander's car shows an up-close view as federal agents appear to spray a chemical irritant, then wrestle Alex Preddy to the ground on the streets of Minneapolis.
That is police brutality!
Other video from outside shows agents restraining Preddy, an American citizen. One appears to pull a gun from Preddy's waist. A second later, Preddy was shot and killed by another agent. Hours after the killing, the Department of Homeland Security said Preddy approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with this gun while agents conducted a targeted operation for a violent individual. Preddy was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry a concealed handgun.
These officers used their training, followed their protocols, and were in fear of their lives and the people around them.
State and local officials say the videos paint a different picture.
This is an inflection point, America. If we cannot all agree that the smearing of an American citizen and besmirching everything they stood for and asking us not to believe what we saw, I don't know what else to tell you.
Witnesses on the scene testified that Preddy was holding his phone and did not approach the agents with a gun. He approached them with a camera. A pediatrician who was nearby when the shooting happened testified none of the ICE agents who were near the victim were performing CPR. The witness counted at least 3 bullet wounds in his back, an additional gunshot wound in the victim's upper left chest, and another possible gunshot wound on his neck. Preddy was an intensive care nurse for veterans at the Minneapolis VA hospital. A 2024 video shows him reading a final salute for a deceased veteran.
Today we remember that freedom is not free.
Preddy's father said his son participated in protests after Renee Good was killed by federal agents earlier this month.
He cared about people deeply, and he was very upset with what was happening in Minneapolis and throughout the United States.
Alex was a really good person.
Robert Alver met Preddy when they were at the University of Minnesota.
I mean, you see that smile, and what do you think?
That's him. That is how he came to work. He was serious about his work, but he wasn't serious. You know, quick with a joke and very funny.
It's a true loss for you.
It's a loss for everybody.
A federal judge issued a temporary restraining order to block the Department of Homeland Security from altering or destroying any evidence. Today, Minnesota prosecutors will be in court trying to compel them to provide access to that investigation.
On Capitol Hill, Senate Democrats are vowing to block a crucial vote this week to fund the Department of Homeland Security without additional restrictions on ICE, and that could trigger another government shutdown. Natalie Brand has the latest from D.C.
President Trump, in a new social media post Monday, announced he's sending border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota, saying Homan will report directly to him. The White House says Homan will be managing ICE operations on the ground in the state to continue arresting the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens. In earlier social media posts following Saturday's deadly shooting of U.S. citizen Alex Preddy by immigration agents, the president accused Democratic-run sanctuary cities of refusing to cooperate with ICE. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche also blamed a lack of assistance from local authorities.
ICE is doing all of this work, doing their jobs, and local law enforcement are not being allowed to do a single thing to help.
The Trump administration has also alleged the man shot was interfering with an ICE operation. When asked by the Wall Street Journal about the officers' actions, President Trump said, "We're looking, we're reviewing everything, and we'll come out with a determination."
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are calling for a full joint federal and state investigation, with Republican Senator Bill Cassidy saying the credibility of ICE and DHS are at stake. Democrats are also vowing to hold up a bill to fund the Department of Homeland Security as Congress faces a Friday deadline to avert a partial government shutdown.
We have a bill about funding them, giving them more money. I'm not voting for that.
Some Democrats are calling for a freeze on ICE funding and policy changes aimed at putting guardrails on immigration enforcement tactics.
In a statement, a White House official tells CBS News Democrats are, quote, holding emergency response funding hostage to score political points. We hope cooler heads prevail, end quote. In San Francisco, a vigil was held last night in the Richmond to honor Alex Preddy. More than 100 people gathered in Sutro Heights Park. They said they want ICE to know if they take similar action here in the Bay Area, they are ready to peacefully and non-violently protest. 2 Bay Area mayors addressed the shooting in Minneapolis at the annual Mayor's Economic Forecast Forum this morning in Oakland. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie and Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee expressed their sadness over what happened and tried to reassure local immigrant communities.
We have a major event coming to our region with Super Bowl 60. And I want everybody to know very clearly that we are going to have more local law enforcement out on the streets, and they are there to keep you safe. They are there to keep our policies in place, which is that we do not ask for anything having to do with your immigration status.
To let our immigrant community know that the city staff, we are here to support them, documented or not. They do not need to fear our city.
Well, stay with us as we continue to follow the latest in Minneapolis on air, online at kpix.com and streaming on the free CBS News app. 31,000 Kaiser nurses and healthcare workers walked off the job today, kicking off an open-ended strike. This is a look at the picket lines. In Oakland and Santa Clara, they are demanding better pay, more staffing, and fair negotiations. Some workers say the company is prioritizing profits over patients.
Kaiser has a mission of providing quality, affordable care to the patients and the communities that it serves. Under this CEO's leadership, under Greg Adams, Kaiser is abandoning its mission.
The strikes are happening across Northern California and Hawaii. The union previously held a strike over similar issues in October, and Kaiser sent us a statement saying, quote, despite the union's claims this strike is about wages, this open-ended strike is unnecessary when such a generous offer is on the table. They say the strike is designed to disrupt the lives of our patients, the very people we are here to serve. Kaiser says they will continue to offer service. They might have to cancel non-urgent appointments. They say do not cancel any appointment yourself. They will reach out to you if your appointment will be affected. All right, our first alert weather now, more mild conditions on this Monday, but we are looking ahead to some changes in our forecast as we take a live look at Alcatraz there in the Bay. Here's meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Beautiful weather for us here in the Bay Area. And as we take a quick look at conditions, starting off with this morning alone, I mean, yeah, we were off to a chilly start here in the Bay, but over 236 million Americans today are under cold weather alerts issued by the National Weather Service, while here in the Bay, we woke up to 40s, so nothing to write home about. But daytime highs today, they are going to warm up beautifully. 60s in the forecast in the Santa Clara Valley, still chilly over into the East Bay, Concord, and Antioch in the low 50s. We make our way over into San Francisco, upper 50s in the forecast from SF all the way down into Half Moon Bay as well. Up into the North Bay, it's looking pretty similar, but the big story for us today has nothing to do with these beautiful temperatures and partly cloudy skies. It has to do with what's right around the corner, as early as tomorrow, actually. Daytime highs are still going to stay pretty mild this week, but the big story has to do with rain as early as tomorrow afternoon. So as we time this out on Futurecast, it's a very mild day for us, with just partly cloudy skies rolling in from offshore. We advance the clock all the way into the evening hours tonight, early morning hours tomorrow. Not a lot of differences. It's not until around lunchtime tomorrow where we start to see some light scattered showers starting to sweep in from offshore. And then some heavier rain starts to form as we head all the way into the evening hours. So around 4, 5, 6 o'clock, that's when that batch of showers starts to push through. We have light to moderate rain with this system, and that moves through pretty fast because it makes its way over into the Sacramento Valley just around midnight, and then we're left with drier weather on the back end. Still waking up to foggy conditions, though, in the forecast as we head into our Wednesday, and I'll have more on that coming up in a bit. Back to you.
All right, still ahead here at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, millions of Americans are now digging out after a powerful winter storm, the damage left behind, and the impact on travel from the East Coast all the way to SFO. A deadly winter storm continues to make its way through the Northeast, bringing plenty of snow and frigid temperatures. The storm is blamed for killing at least a dozen people. In Massachusetts, trucks are trying to scrape layers of ice and snow off the main roadways, and schools across the state are closed today. Commuter rail service was suspended this morning in New Jersey, and this is what the ferry commute to Manhattan looked like: chunks of ice floating on the Hudson River. More than 84 million Americans are under extreme cold warnings from Texas to Pennsylvania. FlightAware shows thousands of flights were canceled yesterday and thousands more were delayed. Travelers still seeing the effects from coast to coast. Our Veronica Macias reports it has been a bumpy trip for some passengers at SFO, with more than 50 delays so far today.
I was definitely about to cry for a second there. I was kind of stressed out.
At SFO on this Monday morning, we found people trying to get to airports in places like Charlotte, North Carolina. They were back for a second time. Their flights canceled over the weekend and initially scrapped early this morning.
I knew that with the weather that it was going to be really difficult. It was just a planned thing for months now. But yeah, so they canceled it yesterday morning and then called them. Apparently everything was all good, and then they canceled it again this morning.
This young woman from Modesto who's moving to Virginia was helped by the crowd in line, people telling her to not rely on any notifications, but to check with the counter before leaving the airport. She's relieved they saved her from paying a second night at an airport hotel.
At home, I saw that the flight was still on track, but when I got here, I saw that it was canceled.
Some are also learning about changes to their flights after arriving. Still, the website tracking cancellations, FlightAware, looking a lot better than yesterday when some 12,000 flights were canceled.
I was going to had a flight from 8:30 to go to Boston, and they just canceled my flight last night. So now I'm just stuck here and don't know what to do. And they say they don't know when they're going to open, but they say there's a flight going out at 3, but that one is full. So now we're just going around circles.
Still, it could be worse than waiting at the airport. Over the weekend, people found themselves halfway to Charlotte before the plane was turned around.
We flew on flight to nowhere. Fell asleep. 2 hours later, the pilot says we're going back to San Francisco.
Oh my goodness, so you actually boarded?
No, we not just boarded, we took off. We took off and then flew to Charlotte, which was no need for it, I think.
For several in this line, they're recognizing the staff from just 24 hours before at the American Airlines counter. Tomorrow may even be a repeat as more snow is still on the way for some eastern states and airlines work to get back on track.
They were able to get me a flight for today instead of me having to wait for tomorrow.
Back to our first alert weather now, taking a live look outside in San Jose. Again, we are so lucky to be here. I was talking with my friends this weekend. I mean, while the rest of the country is just getting hit so hard.
I know, it's brutal. I mean, 236 million Americans today are under cold weather alerts. Back here in the Bay Area, we woke up to 40s, and now we're in the 60s throughout much of the Bay Area. So let's actually head over to the map, and I want to show you those numbers right now. You're walking outside today. We're talking about low 50s in places like Antioch and Concord, upper 50s over in Oakland, across the Bay Bridge over into San Francisco. That live look you see behind me actually is from our rooftop looking at the Bay Bridge, which is blue skies, partly cloudy conditions. A great day to get out there and get some fresh air, really. We have upper 50s all the way into the North Bay with some low 60s into Santa Rosa and beautiful weather along our coastal communities too. But that's not even the big story for us. The big story has to do with rain right around the corner as early as tomorrow. It's Tomorrow afternoon, we are gearing up for some showers pushing in from offshore. It starts from the North Bay down into the south. We're going to see more impressive rainfall totals up closer to Santa Rosa than, let's say, San Jose. But watch what happens. We're advancing the clock all the way into the evening hours tonight, early morning hours tomorrow. I just put it up to around 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Notice how there's not a drop of rain in sight. It's really not until around lunchtime tomorrow where we start to see some light showers trickling in ahead of some heavier rain pushing through around 4, 5, 6 o'clock. So many of us wrapping up work and school, heading home. And then this is our 8 o'clock hours, still showers pushing over into the East Bay, pushing down into the Santa Clara Valley. And then we dry up a lot more as we head into Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning, we're going to have some fog, though, in the forecast for us, and that's important to note, too. So as we take a look at the next 7 days, we really have a taste of everything. This is like a charcuterie board of weather, minus the fact that the temperatures are pretty much all the same. We're sitting in the upper 50s and lower 60s each day this week here in the Bay Area. Partly cloudy skies for us today, rain showers tomorrow afternoon, foggy conditions on Wednesday, at least in the morning hours. And then as we head into this weekend's forecast, we'll hold on tight to upper 50s and lower 60s with partly cloudy skies heading into Saturday and Sunday. Maybe some unsettled weather early next week. Back to you.
Our charcuterie board. Okay, I love that description. Thanks, Jess. All right, coming up here on CBS News Bay Area, the Super Bowl, of course, coming up very quickly. The latest on how transportation officials are making sure everyone can get around. Super Bowl 60 is coming up soon in the South Bay, and transportation bosses say they are ready to move the tens of thousands of visitors coming to the Bay Area. VTA going to boost service, making fares easier to buy and stepping up security. They say they've been planning for this over the course of 2 years. And the Super Bowl 60 matchup is officially set, like it or not. The Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots going to play the big game at Levi's Stadium. It is a rematch of Super Bowl 49. The Patriots did end up winning the championship that year. That was also the Seahawks' last Super Bowl appearance. For the Patriots, this is the first time they're in the big game since the Tom Brady era. Meanwhile, we are learning that President Trump is not going to come to Super Bowl 60 here in the Bay Area. In an interview with the New York Post, the president said he was not fond of the performers. The Bay Area's Green Day going to kick off the Super Bowl, and Puerto Rican pop star Bad Bunny will perform at halftime. Both acts endorsed Kamala Harris back in 2024. But that's not the only reason President Trump says he won't be making the trip to Santa Clara. He says it's too far away. Super Bowl 60 kicks off on February 8th, 3:30 p.m. We'll be right back. Well, if you're thinking about a career change, how about one that comes with the coldest commute on Earth? Antarctica is calling. The British Antarctic Survey is looking for people to help keep their research stations running. No science degree required. Food, housing, and cold weather gear are included. You'd be working along scientists studying climate change, ice melt, and the continent's unique wildlife. You never know. That is it for the afternoon edition. Remember, we are streaming 24/7 on the free CBS News app. Just download that app, choose live at the bottom of the screen, and then Bay Area.